Let's move it to the Big Ten. Let's go to Autzen Stadium, where the number one ranked Ducks for the first time since 2012 are going to battle against the Fighting Illini and Brett Bielema's squad. This one is a 21.5 point spread, but Illinois has been a pesky team and has already beat 3 ranked teams this year. JP, break this one down for us. Is this a spot where another number one team goes down in 2024?
Yeah, you could say that both these teams have had really good wins in the last couple of weeks. I'm going to count Michigan at home for Illinois as a good win, just simply by the way they should have won that game by more, but the way they just handled it, and Michigan never had a chance, right? Obviously, the win against Ohio State for Oregon and Autzen's huge. Now you get a little bit more hype. You're ranked number one. You have a 3-score spread against a ranked Big Ten team at home. Here's where I'm at on this one is I understand that and know that Oregon can score on anybody in the country, and Illinois has not been an elite defense, but they've been very good. They've been very opportunistic, and there's things that Oregon does that really keep the ball out of harm's way. Obviously, they started to flash the offense in the vertical passing game a little bit more against Ohio State, and their DBs couldn't handle it, and like even the better DBs on Ohio State's roster weren't able to cover guys like Trayshawn Holden and Evan Stewart, right? But I think Brett Bielema's got this team feeling good about themselves, and that's a team that's balanced. That, again, we talked about this in the G5 preview about Boise State. This is a team who knows who they are, and they're not going to go outside of that and try to do too much. I think the worry here is that Altmyer tries to play a little bit of hero ball, which he's done in the past, a little less this year. I feel like in a lot of ways he's kept the turnovers at a minimum. He hasn't thrown errant things, trying to make bigger plays out of nothing. So when I'm looking at Illinois here, it's if you're going to stay in this football game, it's limiting big plays, it's sustaining longer drives, it's finding ways to win the hidden yardage battle in some spots. It's just making sure you don't turn it over in opportune times. Like it's basic cliche stuff, and I understand that. And I'm like, everybody's going to be watching this, but I'm not really getting anything out of this. But I'm telling you how a team like Illinois stays in games with the way they play football, very complimentary, very balanced, and very within themselves. And so there is a shot here that Illinois gets a chance to win this game late. And there's also a shot that, Oregon starts to flex its muscles a little bit defensively, and Altmyer runs into a defense, kind of like the Nebraska one at times where it was tough for him to move the football. So it's going to be really good. And I think it's going to tell us a lot about Oregon again, is now that all this hype's on you, you're the center of attention, you're 230 CBS again, prove us that you continue to hold this number one spot in the country.
I think you get another test here for Brett Bielema's scheme ability, because he's been really good this year scheming and keeping his team in games late against a Nebraska, against a Michigan, even competing on the road late at Penn State. But I'm not sure that Illinois defense has seen an offense loaded with weapons like this throughout the entire season. You think maybe the Kansas matchup early in the year, Jalen Daniels really isn't himself this year. Nebraska, you can't compare them to the outside talent that Oregon has, nor the speed. And then Michigan, you might as well just throw it down the drain when it comes to offensive talent. So it's a huge test for Illinois' defense to see if they can limit the speed on the outside of Oregon's offense. We'll see if Bielema can do it yet again. I think they're really going to try and slow the game down, get Fegan going in the backfield, because you saw teams like Boise State have success through the run. Even Travion Henderson last week, or 2 weeks ago now, had a really good week against Oregon's defense. So I think Illinois is going to be more run focused, try and keep that Oregon offense off the field. I see this as a spread that's almost a little too much. I think that hook, and it might have come down already, but that hook is intriguing to me. I think 21's a good spot. I think on the offensive side of stuff for Illinois, I like Luke Altmyer, the way he's playing this year. He's really stepped his game up. That's what Illinois thought he was going to be all the time coming from Ole Miss. Now he's really taken that role. Pat Bryant's been really good on the side. Ole Miss transfers Akari Franklin's been a stud for them. So if they can get those weapons going and they compete late in this game, I think they'll easily cover, but it's a pesky team, and ranked had a problem with them this year. So I almost like Illinois against the spread here. Jake.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it earlier, Parks, and I'm glad you did. This one, to me, it feels like the Penn State game for Illinois. As far as like their defensive matchup versus Oregon's offense, it just really feels like they're going to be, for lack of a better term, out athleted on the field. I just really like the Illinois offense has been fine. I like Luke Altmyer. I think he's been efficient. He's been good versus Nebraska, Kansas. Do you really say Michigan? Like, this team offensively struggled against Michigan and Penn State. I think Oregon's going to have similar athletes, even defensively, whether or not Jordan Birch is on that defensive line. I just think it's a bad spot for Illinois. Dylan Gabriel leads the country with 74% completion rate. And it's not like the conservative Dylan Gabriel that we're kind of accustomed to seeing. Like you guys saw that game 2 weeks ago versus Ohio State when Evan Stewart can create separation and make plays. His downfield threat capability is really, really good this year. And it's been a difference maker. But like last but not least, this was a team in Purdue that scored 49 points on Illinois. And then last week, they just got shut out at home by Oregon. And I don't love doing usually like team comparisons. They're like similar opponents, but that one kind of just stands out to me. I like what Illinois has done this year. I think they play, decent teams well, like a top 25-ish team, but against a top 5 team, I just don't think they have the athletes to compete on the road, quite frankly.
Thinking back to our Big Ten preview, I don't remember who previewed Illinois, but man, if we would have talked about the schedule back then, I got to assume we ranked it up there in the toughest in the Big Ten, on the road at Nebraska, on the road at Penn State, now on the road at Oregon. They've gone through quite the gauntlet, not to mention their non-con Power 4 opponent in Kansas, who was ranked at that time, who doesn't pan out, but still tough schedule. And Brett Bielema's squad's been impressive through it all. Reese, if you can talk to us, give us a preview.
I can talk to you. I think Schaefer had a very good point. It's just, Illinois' idea, like you talked about 2 Parks, they're going to try to make it ugly, but which team's going to be more successful in their game plan? Can Illinois make it ugly, or can Oregon just out-athlete guys? And with the environment they have, Oregon or Ohio State went on to Autzen and struggled. They lost that football game. So, and those guys have some of the best athletes in the world, one of the best offensive coordinators in the world too. And so I think this Illinois team is going to struggle taking those guys on the road in this environment with that defense. And you talk about, it's also the hook makes it interesting. I think Illinois can maybe keep it close, but it's a game too that Oregon at the beginning of the year, they didn't show it, but they've kind of come into it as of late. But I think it's a spot where they'll be able to handle this Illinois team. It's just, the guys still get separation. Can the atmosphere come into it, and they can make Illinois unsuccessful in their game plan, and they can stick to theirs. So,
all right, I want to add one more thing.
Go ahead.
I understand like the point of like this is a really tough spot for them to go on the road, but this is an Illinois team that probably should have won a game at Michigan last year when they were highly ranked, or the year before. It's a team that's gone on the road historically and not gotten blown out. Like even if they're playing really good football teams, like this is I think it's a team that travels well and does what they're supposed to do.
Wasn't the Penn State spread like something like this big too?
Yeah,
I don't know how big it was.
What did you say, Park? It was 18?
I think it was 18, yeah.
Okay. I don't see, you say that, JP, but I can definitely see this being 30-7. And, we talk about on Monday how Illinois was fighting maybe in the first half.
But 30-7 is only 2-point cover or 1.5. Like it ain't that. That's what I'm saying here. Like they're not getting beat by 24-30 here. I don't feel like that's. I just feel like this is a team that's gone on the road well and played teams close. I don't feel like it's one historically within the last couple of years with Bielema has gotten blown out. Like they've been out athleted, but they stay in games.
Brett Bielema knows how to keep his team in the game, to be honest. Like he's had so much experience coaching in this conference and in tough games. Like he's schemed so well against good teams this year that they remain in the game. It doesn't really matter who's playing. And they're talented too. Luke Altmyer has been really, really good this year, man. He's valued the football. They haven't turned the ball over a ton. If they don't turn the ball over, I really feel like they can stay in this one. But it is a true test with the wide receivers they're facing, because you got Banks and Nair for Nebraska. Who you want to throw out there for Penn State? Fleming was probably the leading receiver in that game. So now you got to face Stewart and some other talent on the outside. I believe. Yeah, Tez Johnson, exactly. And there's one more. I don't know if the spitter came back from. Did he get suspended?
Holden.
Yeah. Did he get suspended or no?
He didn't play
the second half.
I know how that works. I don't know.
I don't know either. I know people were calling for him to get a police assault charge, but we'll see if he's back. But there's a lot of high caliber weapons that Illinois hasn't faced in the secondary. So we'll see how that goes. Let's kick it off round table style. Score prediction. Who wins? Who covers? JP, lead it off.
Yeah, Illinois covers this one. Oregon wins, though. I'll go 14-point win for Oregon here. Let's just go 31-17.
31-17. I like that spot as well. I got the same thing. Illinois covering the number, Oregon winning the game. I think Oregon wins it by 17. I think it's going to be a good battle, one that you'll want to tune into. So I got that for my result of this one. Jake.
You guys say, Illinois competes in the Big Ten and everything like that. I tried to look up their scores.
Well, it's because we're right, Jake. We're the Big 10 guys. You're the Big 12 guy.
Well,
Keep going,
that's true. But this team it's new. It's technically basically a Pac-12 team at this point, and it's a new kind of athlete that they're going to see on the field. And I don't know if you guys forgot, but I'm going to go with the numbers. And numbers say when you're traveling 2 time zones in this conference, you don't really cover. So I am going to take Oregon at home. And yeah, I could see it being.
I kind of got debunked last weekend, no?
Yeah, I didn't say your bet of the week was the same reasoning, and it lost.
Yep. But how about USC? How about USC? USC.
But the numbers. But the numbers.
USC. So there's my. I had
Sharps
USC.
are wrong 40% of the time.
I had Maryland. I would like to know.
Right
I wish maybe Reese talks. I want to look up the last time Illinois played Ohio State. Now I looked up last year. They played Penn State. I don't know. I don't even think they played Michigan last year. Like I just don't.
Isn't that the battle for the turtle? Isn't that like
the one in the big house? They should have won it.
No, the battle for the turtle is Illinois, Ohio State. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to know like what they did the last time they played a team similar to Oregon, like Ohio State. I would consider in the Big Ten is
Nebraska.
You're gonna say this is a new team. I'm gonna say this is a new team. You go find something from 2021. I'm like, a new team. It's a new team.
That's true. And Bielema, he's just a pesky bastard. He doesn't really care. Remember, this is a guy who's whatever the hell that means when it came to the whiteout. So, I mean, they went into the toughest of all tough environments. I still think Oregon will be rocking. But Reese, what do you got on this matchup? Who wins? Who covers?
I'll take Oregon to win and cover. I'll take 37-10.
All right. So blowout in favor of the number 1 overall Ducks. What do you got, Jake? What's the results say?
Also, breaking news.
If you played for a turtle, Parks, when was the last time you think you played for the turtle?
I know the last time Illinois won it was like 07, I think, probably 15.
Bruce Williams.
Try 2018. They were going to play in 2020, but that one was canceled. So they haven't played Ohio State in 6 years. In that year, granted, yes, Jordan, new team, long time ago, 52-14.
6 years ago, Jacob.
I understand that.
Illinois played Ohio State, then Nebraska couldn't get blown out by them. So of course the Big Ten schedules Nebraska, Ohio State.
It's not even a Brett Bielema team.
Yeah, that's true. Was that a Lovey Smith Illinois team back then?
Probably was. Hey, listen.
Shout out Lovey.
I tried to make comps, but apparently Illinois and Ohio State never play each other anymore.
That was the Big Ten's fault for their scheduling.
Yeah, it's probably Kevin Warren's bastard doing. But all right, that is Illinois and Oregon.